The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, along with the National Emergency Response Team, we have been monitoring this development of this storm event from roughly Thursday, October 18th, 2025. To date, we have carried out a number of activities. You heard some mentioned by Minister McKenzie in terms of our general preparation. One of the main things that we have done when we are facing anything of this nature is to immediately put our parish and national disaster mechanism on standby in preparation for any eventuality. So the parish disaster coordinators, we have placed those on standby from very early, from over the weekend. And we were having discussions then with the National Meteorological Service. I've had discussion with Evan and Mr. Brown in terms of where we wanted to go. So on Tuesday, I was about to say Monday, on Tuesday, that was yesterday, we had a very large meeting of the operation planning meeting of the National Emergency Operations Center to get a good idea as to where we are in terms of our preparation, and also to put persons in a frame of mind of the work that we have to do going into the weekend. That meeting of the Operation Planning Grouping of the National Emergency Operations Center, we had in excess of 25 agencies being on that meeting, all parishes to include the CEOs and the parish disaster coordinators, the Jamaica Defense Force, Jamaica Constabulary Force, and the Jamaica Fire Brigade, and also the NGOs to include the Red Cross, Salvation Army, ADRA, and Food for the Poor. And we also had on that meeting our very able and continuous partner, for the UNDP, was a part of that process, given the role that they play in terms of assisting us in terms of our disaster management preparation. So that meeting, we had presentations from all the entities that were on the platform. At one point in time, we had in excess of 90 persons on that meeting call, just to show the level of importance that persons were paying to the event and the work that we have to do going forward. So we got those presentations in terms of our state of readiness, looking at our infrastructure, looking at our humanitarian processes, and looking at our overall national response processes. Also, in terms of our activation process, a critical part of that is to ensure that there is adequate disaster communication in times of an emergency. And as the country know that we have gone through a process in terms of mapping out a comprehensive network for disaster communication supported by JICA. And so what we're doing currently is going through a number of radar protocols to ensure that we're doing radar checks, to ensure that the National Emergency Response Team is on the correct call group. We don't want to have a situation where persons are not on the correct call group when we are going through our communication processes in times of disaster. So the team is currently going through all that radar protocol to ensure that everything is a go when we have to go operational over the weekend. So before our preparation for this event, it's a constant preparation going into the season, and a constant preparation as it relates to disaster events, because we are not only impacted by hydrometeorological events, we are also impacted by seismic events. So it's a constant preparation. You heard from Minister Maurice Dixon earlier in terms of the meeting of the National Disaster Council. We also ensure that all the shelters were checked. So we did comprehensive shelter checks throughout the process, and currently we have 881 shelters that have been listed. That shelter inspection is a comprehensive inspection that includes the ODPEM, the Municipal Corporation, the Roads and Works Department from the MCs, the Ministry of Health, and the Jamaica Fire Brigade. The Ministry of Health has been a mainstay of the process coming out of COVID, because we have embedded in our shelter protocol still where we have to do quarantining or any kind of segregation of population if persons should come in with any kind of illnesses that we have to segregate them from the main shelter population. Also, to that, we have done comprehensive initial damage assessment training across various parishes. This is to ensure our readiness throughout and to ensure effective disaster response and recovery, given what we have seen coming out of Hurricane Beryl. So we also have done, which we thought was necessary, to get the agencies of the country being in sync in terms of emergency operation center processes. So we did extensive emergency operation center training throughout the process. So the planning meetings will continue as we go into the weekend in order to ensure that we keep the country in a state of readiness, and we are putting in the necessary protocols that is needed to ensure that we are protecting our people. So at this point, we are saying to persons that it is important to continue to prepare and to continue to put yourself in a state of readiness for what will come over the weekend. Thank you very much.